Hello students, the last topic of this particular unit is the multimedia approach to information processing. I guess all of you know what multimedia is. Multimedia is basically the way you communicate. Either it is in the way we can represent the data, either it is the audio, the video, the text format, the image, the graphics. So multimedia basically correspond to digital files that can be in the form of images, documents, videos, audios, which can be recorded, played, displayed and interacted with on any of the information processing device like our smartphones, tablets, computer terminals. Multimedia devices means the electronic media devices which we use to store and load the multimedia content. In the present scenario where IT has reached to another level, we can't imagine any presentation without multimedia. Entertainment and education are the two major applications, two major industries where the content of multimedia is utilizing. So multimedia consists of the text, audio, graphics, animation. According to Fendrich, he gave a definition in 1997 that multimedia is an exciting combination of both the computer hardware and software, because obviously to present the text, to present the data in the form of text, audio, video, animation, graphics or images, you need the hardware as well. So multimedia is basically the combination of the hardware and the software that allows you to integrate the video, animation, audio and all these type of multimedia resources so that you can develop effective presentations on an affordable desktop computer. Phillips also gave another definition in 1997. According to him, multimedia is basically the presence. Wherever text is present, pictures are present, sound, animation, videos are present, we will say that it is multimedia. Right. So today we are having basically the interactive multimedia. Interactive multimedia is basically where you can interact. For example, if I am playing PUBG, or any other game, what we are doing? It's an animation video and you are interacting therein. That is interactive multimedia, where you can interact, right? So various training programs, video games, travel guides, telephone, television, everywhere you can see multimedia. What are the elements of multimedia? First one is the text. Text is basically in the form of alphabets or symbols. Text are actually in the form of documents, and these documents are smallest in size and easy to share, right? We have multiple text file applications. We have Microsoft Word, WordPad, Notepad. Even on our mobile application we can use Adobe Reader for the PDF file. So multiple text file applications are available. We can easily import and export the files. We can provide styling and formatting styles to the text. We can give a background color. So this is what multimedia is, the text is. Next is the images and graphics. What a picture is? A picture, you can say, is basically a combination of multiple pixels. When they come together, they form a picture. So we use the digital camera to click a photograph. So the different points, when they join together, the points known as the pixels, the picture elements, when they are joined together, they form an image. We have various online picture editing tools available, picture editing softwares available. For example, we have the Corel Photo Paint, we have the LibreOffice Draw and so on. Next we are having the audios take much more memory in your phone than the text file and the image files. Audios can be in the form of the music, they can be in the form of the narration, or they can be used to add some sound effects to an image or to some graphics, right? So there we use the audios. Music files are quite large in size and it is difficult to share music files they require more bandwidth as compared to your image files or the text documents, right? Then we are having the videos are even more larger than the audio files. Entertainment industry, you can see, or you can see the e-learning industry, we have lots and lots of videos on YouTube. So all these videos that take a lot of memory, and we have various applications where videos are used. You can learn to cook anything, you can learn any particular concept of any subject using the YouTube videos in the area of e-learning. You can even learn how to drive a car, how to simulate, even the flight simulation courses are there. So videos can help to enhance the learning skills as well, right? The next is the animation. Animation is basically the non-fictional concepts where we add some movement, some motion to some objects. So these files are these files in fact take the largest memory in your phone or in your any processing device other than any other format. So one of the example is Hawkeye technique that we use in cricket match. So what are the different tools for creating and using multimedia? We are having the digital camera, the camcorder, the scanner, the interactive whiteboard, and the multimedia projector. Digital camera, all of you know, is basically a camera that captures the image and convert it into a digital file. Earlier, how we used to capture the images is that the cameras produce a negative, that black color paper, a negative, and then it is drawn, then it is reproduced over a photo paper. Earlier we used to create the images like this, but nowadays when we are using the digital cameras, most cameras are digital today. Either it is in your mobile phones, tablets, laptops, CCTV cameras. All these cameras, the moment you will capture the image, that electronic device will convert the image digitally and store it in your phone memory, right? So the images can be stored and deleted, they can be shared easily, they can even be after upload, you can upload it, you can share it, you can take a printout of these digital images, even you can edit it, you can add some text, you can crop it, you can rotate it. So several features are available. Then we are having the camcorder. Camcorder is also basically a digital camera, but it is much more portable and light in weight, right? So camcorder has more long battery life. They give better picture quality as compared to your digital cameras that we have studied earlier. For example, if I want to add some special effects to an image that I have captured, right, or while I want to edit the sequence of some event, then it is better to use a camcorder rather than the digital camera. Then we are having the scanner. Scanner, all of you know, is basically an input device, an input-output device, in fact, that processes a textual document. You place your textual document there or a photograph, and it converts that document or photograph into its equivalent digital format, right? So mainly the scanners are flat in shape. We have a surface and cover over it. You can scan your books, you can scan any documents, photographs, magazines, anything, right? So scanned copies are basically the electronic version of the scanned document. Then we are having the interactive whiteboard. Interactive whiteboard basically means it's a type of board where you have which is connected to a computer, and you can display the screen of that computer on that whiteboard, and you can interact with that board. It is not a normal board as we have in our classrooms. Interactive whiteboards are basically used in higher education institutions to provide training to the students, or in the companies to provide training to the employees, where the trainer can interact with the board by using his fingers or some stylus or some pen like this, right? They can give presentations. Mostly companies, they use the interactive whiteboard to give their presentations. You can add comments to the presentation, you can add any notes or drawings, you can show pictures or the educational videos, show any content on website, you can highlight or label any text. So this is what interactive board is, a board where you can interact with the board using some gestures or your pen or some stylus or your fingers, right? Then we are having the multimedia project. Multimedia project is nothing but the normal LCD project that we are having in our classrooms. If you want to give some presentation, what is the advantage of using projector is that it is easy to address an audience easily. If we use a projector, we can use some whiteboard, normal whiteboard, not interactive, normal whiteboard, to display the data of the computer or images on that whiteboard using the LCD projector, right? So we can use them in the presentations for watching movies or audios or animations. So what are the advantages of multimedia? Multimedia can motivate persons in groups to share their knowledge, to solve complex problems, to construct their knowledge. It is more attractive over the earlier learning methods that we used to have. We can share our technical skills. It enhances the teamwork. It gives a better experience towards learning, right? It gives better impact. It helps us to face the challenges of the communicating to different audiences. It helps to understand the importance of research, planning and organizing. It helps to express your ideas in a more creative manner, and you can take the constructive feedback. It helps to improve your presentation and speaking skills. It tells about the significance of presentation and speaking skills. So what is the importance of multimedia in various fields? We will start with the advertising, because advertising is one of the most critical area using which we share the information. Either we use it using the TV channel or using some ad agencies, even management companies, they are all using the advertisements where they either present some animated videos, some photographs, some audios, videos, right? So advertising is the multimedia plays a great and important role in the field of advertising. Either it is the print advertisement, it is the radio advertisement in the form of audio, it is a video advertisement that we display on the television, or we display the ads, or any mobile advertising, anything. Either you get the ads on the mobile phone, TV, any on the radio. All these advertisement, they are developed, they are designed using the multimedia only. Then we are having the education. Multimedia is actually present everywhere. The moment you use text, the moment you use image, graphics, audio, video, animation, it means you are working on the multimedia, right? So multimedia is equally important in education to provide the training to the students. It helps the teachers to present their charts, their topics in a more creative and effective manner, like we are doing with the students right now, like we do in the classrooms as well. We show you the presentations, we teach you using some text. So this is what multimedia is. Then we are having the mass media. Mass media is basically the journalism where we can address a large amount of mass public, amount of citizens at the same time. So magazines and newspapers, television, they are basically covered under the mass media. Then we are having the gaming industry, that I think is one of the major application area of your multimedia. Either you are playing any type of game, it is a car parking game, it is PUBG, it is Mini Malaysia, any game, they all use they all use the multimedia effects. We have background sound, we have some effects, right? They all use the multimedia. Then we have the science and technology. Science and technology, basically you can relate it with the medical field. If I want to see, you can see the any reports of a person, they are visually displayed on some screen. The ECG that line graph you can see, or even you can multimedia has advanced so much in the field of medical that a robot can perform a surgery of a person after taking or the guidelines from a doctor who is on the video conferencing, right? So even the robots are able to perform these surgeries when the actual surgeon is at the remote location and he's just viewing the video of that patient. So in the brain removal, in the surgeries, in the DNA mutation combination, everywhere we are using the multimedia. Then we are having the pre-production. Pre-production basically means planning the cinematography activities, that where how we have to how we have to place our camera, what will be the projection angles, how we have to narrate the story, the video transitions, right? All this we movie industry, Bollywood, Hollywood, TV series, all they are using multimedia a lot. They either they are dubbing, that's a part of post production. Any animated movie you can see, the characters they are in the animation form, but the voice, the audio at the backside, they add it, the special effects they added, all it is done using the advancements in the multimedia, right? So that is the post production. Either I have to add in transition effects. Then the research is that how we can improve it, how the simulation and modeling in the mathematical and scientific research can be improved using the multimedia. Then the last topic is the centralized and distributed processing. Centralized processing is basically where we have one CPU, or you can say we are having one server and all the request goes to that server. We have only one storage location. The example of centralized processing can be your Google, your any other website, because Google especially you can see all the requests. Wikipedia I guess is one another example. Suppose I want to search something, all the requests they go to the Google, right? They search the Wikipedia first. So centralized means that at one location we are having the storage and one processor, right? So that is the centralized processing. And multiple terminals, using multiple terminals we can place our request, we can send our request to that particular processor and he will revert you back with the response. So what is the advantage of using centralized processing is the definitely reduction in cost, because of the centralized storage, because of the centralized processing we will use less hardware and less machines. Obviously it is easy to maintain security when the data is at a single place. So better data security, more consistent processing, and data and program they are independent from each other. But the disadvantage is because I am storing the data at one place, I need a large data storage, and sometimes it results into poor response time. For example, suppose university declares the result and all of you send your request to the university server at the same time to see your result. Then sometimes it happens that the server gets down slow, right? Why this happens is because all the requests they are going to the same server, right? And it is a centralized processing. So this is the disadvantage, that sometimes it leads to poor response time, and obviously it needs high cost in transmitting the transaction. Sometimes a lot of congestion and high traffic occurs at the server side, which can result into denial of your response. Sometimes you don't get the response because many of the people they are actually posting their queries to a single server. Then distributed processing is far better than using the centralized processing. In distributed processing, different CPUs are connected to the network and are controlled by single main CPU. For example, airline reservation system or any banking system. You are doing your transaction at your particular branch, your data is stored there, obviously all the CPUs are having their own memory. So the memory is distributed, the processors are distributed, they all are controlled by the main CPU, but it is expensive, it is easy to replace, because if suppose one computer or one CPU stops working, you just have to replace that CPU. You need not to change the whole configuration of your network, right? It is better to expand. It allows parallel processing, multiple CPUs. When multiple CPUs are executing or processing the data simultaneously, so the results are faster, and we can process the data in a parallel fashion, so it gives a better performance and it is easy to recover the data. But the disadvantages are, obviously it is complex. Suppose if sometimes any CPU fails or it stops working, it is difficult to find out that which particular CPU stops working in that particular complex network, because we have lots of CPUs involved in connected in that network. It is difficult to synchronize the data. So sometimes it happens in the bank that we posted our query, we want to perform some transaction, it get executed at our end, but because it has to take the permission from the main CPU, sometimes our transaction fails at the main CPU, right? So, and it is difficult to ensure data security in case of distributed processing, because when there are lots of processors, data is stored at multiple locations, it is difficult to ensure security at multiple locations. This is how the centralized and distributed processing looks like. You can see this is centralized processing, one CPU and multiple terminals, or you can say these are the multiple computers or devices, mobiles, laptops, through which people are sending their query to this one particular processor. And this is the distributed processing. We have all these multiple terminals, and each terminal is having is equipped with a CPU, with a processor, with its own storage, so it's easy to work on, and it's required more hardware, and data security is poor in case of distributed processing, right? So that's it for unit 4. If you guys are having any query, you can share your queries or doubts with me through the email on my email ID. Okay, thank you class.